All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going on a journey through more than a decade of corporate reports from a huge agribusiness player, Sampoerna Agro. We're going to see exactly how they navigated some major global headwinds to not just, survive, but actually grow. It's quite a story.
So, let's start with this number, 3%. What's that all about? Well, back in 2019, that right there was the slice of Indonesia's entire gross domestic product that came from the palm oil industry. It is a massive, massive deal, not just for the companies, but for the whole national economy. And that really sets the stage for why understanding a company like this is so important.
Okay, so first things first. Let's lay the foundation. We need to go back and look at who this company was at its core, right at the start of our journey. Check out their mission statement from all the way back in 2008, to become one of the leading agribusiness companies that is accountable in Indonesia. And what's really key here is that dual focus from the very beginning. It's not just about being the biggest or the best. It's about being accountable. That word is going to pop up again and again. So how'd they plan to do that? They leaned on this three-hands philosophy from their parent company, and it's a really simple but powerful idea. You have the company, its business partners, and its customers, all totally interconnected. This wasn't just some slogan. It became the real foundation for their entire strategy, shaping how they worked with everyone, from the small farmers on the ground to the big international buyers. Of course, it's never that easy, right? Their journey was definitely not a straight line to the top. The company started facing some serious global headwinds that completely changed the game. The first big storm on the horizon? Geopolitics. This quote from their 2019 report pretty much says it all. The trade war between the US and China, as they put it, delivered a considerable blow to global economic growth. You can just imagine the chaos that created. It brought huge uncertainty and threw commodity markets, especially palm oil, way off balance. And it wasn't just about economics. There was also this growing pressure on the regulatory and environmental side. The same report points to continued restrictions in the international markets, especially from the EU. Basically, their biggest customers were starting to build walls based on new sustainability rules. So you can see this perfect storm brewing. On one hand, you have to grow, you have to be profitable. But on the other hand, you're dealing with crazy price swings, more and more regulatory hurdles, and this global shout for more sustainability. How do you possibly manage all of that at once? It's a classic business puzzle. So what did they do? How did they tackle this incredibly complex web of challenges? Well, they fought back with what you could call a three-pronged strategy for resilience. And here's the game plan, the three pillars that held it all up. We're going to break each one down. First, they diversified their geography. Second, they doubled down on technology and innovation. And third, they committed, really committed, to sustainable governance. Let's see how each piece of that puzzle worked. Okay, first up, spreading the risk. Back in 2007, almost all their eggs were in one basket. They were super dependent on their estates in Sumatra. We're talking nearly 90% of their fruit came from there. Fast forward to 2019, and it's a whole different picture. They made a very deliberate push into Kalimantan, and suddenly that island was producing 30% of their crop. This move was huge. It balanced their portfolio and made them way less vulnerable to local problems like bad weather or crop disease. The second piece was all about innovation. And look, this wasn't some side project in a lab somewhere. Their R&D was right at the heart of their strategy. They were laser-focused on creating better, high-yield seeds so they could get more oil from less land. They were engineering plants that could handle drought, which with climate change is a massive deal. They poured money into fighting diseases. They were, in essence, trying to future-proof their entire operation, right from the seed itself. And that third piece of the puzzle? It was all about building trust through sustainable governance. And this wasn't a knee-jerk reaction to pressure. They were playing the long game. Think about it. As early as 2007, they joined the Roundtable on Sustainable Palm Oil. By 2008, they'd set up their key risk and audit committees. A decade later, they're getting major international and Indonesian certifications. They were methodically building a reputation for doing things the right way. So they had this great-sounding strategy. But did it actually work? Let's get to the good part, the results. Let's measure the real-world impact of all these decisions. Just look at this. This is probably the most direct way to see their expansion. This chart shows the growth of the plantation area they own and manage directly. In 2007, it was about 30,000 hectares. By 2021, it had soared to over 84,000. That's, wow, almost triple the size.
This is the physical proof of their strategy playing out on the ground. But growth wasn't just about planting more trees. They scaled up their social investment too. And this breakdown of their 2019 social responsibility budget is really telling. They spent 7.9 billion rupiah, and a massive 66%, two-thirds of it, went straight into education. That's not just charity, that's a strategic choice to invest in the future of the communities where they operate. And of course, the bottom line. You gotta look at the financials. This table of their return on equity really tells a story. In 2017, things are looking pretty good at 6.1%. Then, 2019 hits. It craters to just 1%. That's the direct hit from those global headwinds we talked about. But then, the bounce back. By 2021, it rockets up to a really strong 17.7%. So their strategy didn't make them immune to the storm, but it absolutely helped them weather it and come out stronger on the other side.
So, after this whole journey of challenges, adaptation, and growth, what's next? What does the future hold for Sampoerna Agro?
This quote from their 2021 report gives us a fantastic window into their mindset. They're confident, for sure, but listen closely to where their focus is shifting. They're talking about a focus on intensification as well as continuous quality and productivity improvements. That word, intensification, that's the key. It signals a move away from just getting bigger towards getting better and more efficient with what they already have. And really, that brings us to the big final question that this entire story raises, doesn't it? Can a corporate strategy, no matter how smart or well-designed, ever truly balance that constant pursuit of profit with the undeniable needs of our planet? It's something to think about. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive.